Okay, hey everybody. So we are live, and this is a new show that we're trying out. That's going to be every other Wednesday, and that is going to be myself. Why I'm here, I have no idea, but
Because you had the
I'm.
restream, and
I
it makes it easy for the rest of us.
oh okay. Well, okay.
Or
All right. Well, that's why I'm here,
And
guys.
you're really the
That's why
reason
I'm
why
here.
the three of us got together, anyways. So
that's true. We met because
Oh,
of
it's
you.
fantastic.
yeah,
And so I am joined by DM Blackwall of Blackwall Games, Dropship, Horde Wars. I'm sure you guys have heard of that stuff. Below him is Jason Vey, Elf Lair Games. He's also one of the trolls, Troll Lord Games, Amazing Adventures, and through his own company there. He's also got a Guinness there. Through Elf Lair Games, makes several kind of OSR games there for different handful of different genres, whatever you want to play there. And next to him and below me is Matt Tapp, Barrows and Borderlands. I'm sure you guys have heard of that. It's OD&D post-apocalyptic craziness. Like, I don't know if is that the short? Yeah, yeah, there it is. So so we decided to okay, these three decided to get together and do a show, and I sort of volunteered, hey, I've got the YouTube channel, I've got the Restream account and all that stuff. And for some reason they just agreed and said, yeah, that sounds like a fantastic idea. So
You're a special guest for the night.
I'm a special guest
Every
you're a
night.
special guest
Right.
every other Wednesday.
special guest
Right.
every other Wednesday. Yeah.
It's like Dan getting his staff badge.
Yeah, right. yes, absolutely. Absolutely. That surprisingly worked out like really well because he actually did stuff like
Yes,
I
he
mean,
did.
It's like it gave him the sense that he needed to.
it was like, I got a staff badge. Now I have to actually like fill these shoes, And
Right.
so, yeah, no. And so that worked out, great. I mean, it worked out perfect, So, so he's definitely going to get invited back as staff, but I'll put more work on him so he can't play as much next year. But yeah, so how is everybody doing today? This is like so far the hottest day of the year that we've had up here in New York. I know we're kind of scattered around, but it's been pretty hot where you guys are.
It's pretty crazy.
It's
Yeah.
we have a heat index here of like over 100 degrees right now, but heat doesn't bother me. So every time everybody talks about how awful and sweltering it is, I'm like it just doesn't feel all that bad to me. I don't know. I'm weird that way.
All the Southerners listening will understand when I say it's the humidity that gets you. So,
Yes.
Well, in Pittsburgh, we get humidity. We're on Three Rivers, so yeah.
Yeah, y'all get it pretty bad there. When I was in Charleston, it was like swamp all the time. So,
Oof. Yeah, the humidity's bad.
Now it might just be getting older, but it definitely bothers me more with higher humidity and not as high a temperature. Like 90s sounds high or 100, but when I was little, I grew up in an area where the normal temperature in the summer was 120 or 130. So,
Oof.
but it wasn't nearly as humid.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, but it's a dry heat.
Yeah.
It's a dry
You
heat.
know that shit, Hudson.
Dry heat. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't do it anymore. I've got some other issues. Some of you guys know some of the stuff that I've been through. We don't have to go through that now, but I've got some stuff that makes me hot. I'm hot all the time, so I like it freezing cold. That might be evident if you guys were at CNY and maybe thought it felt like a refrigerator inside the ballroom.
Strongly preferred to the opposite.
That may or may not have been.
Yeah, I would honestly, as much as I say heat doesn't bother me, I'd much rather it be chilly inside than hot.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Well, I mean, there's only so much you can, take off legally, right? When there's people around, and if it's cold, you can always just layer up.
Yeah.
I mean, that really depends. If you make it an adults only event,
Well, yeah, but even then, like, I mean, you can only go so far.
As a practical and functional matter, yes.
Yeah. So yeah, so it seems yeah, a lot of chatter having the same issue. It's odd. So we're here to talk about some design stuff, and we kind of talked backstage a little bit. And you guys, I know I've talked to you guys, and some of you guys out there kind of know that I've been kind of on and off working on some stuff, and then I'll end up playing a game, and I'll get used to something, or like right now I'm playing Shadow Dark, and it seems like Shadow Dark fits the bill for the most part of what I wanted out of a game, something simple and that moves quick, and I like some of the extra rules and stuff that's in there. So I kind of put what I was working on like in the back burner. But like I think a good question is, and and maybe you guys have come from a different designer standpoint when you build stuff, but I see a lot of the stuff that gets made out there, game wise, tabletop wise especially, that it usually starts as home rules for a specific system. Somebody will like a certain system, and then it's okay, well, let's change this, and oh, I like this from this system, so let's pull that over. And then I mentioned ship a thesis before. Well, like eventually, like you're playing with so many different parts and pieces and things are replaced, like you're definitely playing a different game. But like, where's that line? Like how do like, hey, and we mentioned BX clones, right? Like there's a ton of like quote unquote clones. They're not all exact copies of each other, but they're only off by like one or two rules, right? Are different. Like, so where's that line of like, hey, I should actually try and write this down and publish it? Yeah, Labyrinth Lord is, but that like
that's my favorite BX clone by
yeah,
far.
but I don't even consider Labyrinth Lord like a clone. Like, because they changed enough in it where it feels like a different game.
A clone. Oh no, Labyrinth Lord is absolutely a BX clone. Now the advanced rules, I would say, they more gear towards this is what AD&D was, the way most of us played it. But the original Labyrinth Lord was very much a BX clone. The only thing he did was adjust the XP tables.
Sure. Well, to hit stuff, like the fighter was the only one that got an increasing to hit bonus. I don't think the other classes increase to hit as they go.
I have to look.
I think that's really an aside, because the main question is, how did you get started in design? It sounds like is what Roger described a typical experience for how you got started in design. And then the second question that we can maybe revisit is, how much change makes a game a different game, or is a point where you should throw away the original and write a new game?
Yeah, no, I mean, at least for me, like with Barrows and Borderlands, that was something I was facing a lot whenever I was working on the game. Because I mean, originally it was house rules for our own table, and starting with like OD&D and then adding things in, and then taking some AD&D conventions and some Gamma World conventions. Then eventually, though, I think a pretty good line at my table was two things. One was that the players wanted me to publish it because they wanted to have booklets to play with at the table. They wanted to see rules, what I was using. So, and then whenever I would show up to the in-person events, I would have to bring a giant tote with me every time and lay 30 books out on the table, because maybe I wanted one little thing from this one book over there. Or I would even go and like print out just specific pages that had a rule I liked. And then I would have this whole big notebook of all my rules that I'd come up with. And I was like, dude, I can't keep carrying this out here. Like I need just one thing as the way I play in it. And so when that happened, like when we got to that point, I was like, okay, I'm just going to write it myself. And that way I can show up with my one box set to the in-person games. But I also saw, or we were talking about like setting specific games too can sometimes have their own place, even if they are like, the first few pages are restating of basic rules or some sort of clone, and then they go into this big cool setting for you to play into. And that I like seeing those every once in a while too, because then it's like, oh well, I can usually use whatever game system I want with that setting, but for other people, they can just go buy that one thing and they don't need, to get other material to go with it. Right. So I don't mind those too much either.
I mean, for me, and I think I kind of told this story on our last post, or on our last stream, so I'll keep it short. Night Shift actually started as house rules for how to use OD&D to run Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And then my co-author Tim told me we have to turn this into a game. You can't just leave it like that. And that's kind of where that went. And I mean, I think where the divergence there is obvious. I mean, I took the three basic mechanics that drive OD&D, basic D&D, and AD&D, and I kind of expanded them and codified them to make them drive an entire game in a way that wasn't originally codified. And then I applied it to a modern setting on top of that, and I added some modern design elements like player agency mechanics with the fate points and the ability to scale your grit level, how gritty you want the game to be and things like that. I actually think what we have here is really interesting because Matt is absolutely old school in his design. Like Bears and Borderlands is 100% OD&D old school.
Mm-hmm.
Todd is very new school in his design. The D12 system is very new, very modern.
I had noticed.
Yeah. The D12 system is very, very modern, very sleek, unified mechanic, stepping dice, and then me, I'm somewhere in the middle. Like I have this old school vibe and these old school mechanics with a lot of modern design philosophy behind them. So I think you've kind of got
we got a full spectrum here.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, and for me, when I started doing game design, I started doing it actually for war games, and I still have at least one floating around the internet. But when I started playing RPGs, had a lot of fun with them, and got really into. I started with I want to say it was AD&D, and then after that started playing 3rd edition, which I probably played the most for Dungeons and Dragons, and then I also played some 5th edition as well, and a pile of other RPGs. But the core idea of writing an RPG came from I hacked 5th edition D&D to make a viable sci-fi RPG in just a few pages. I was like, what would I have to change to make this work? But then my buddy Nate and I were talking about it. We were like, if we wanted to make this really good, we'd have to change a lot more. Like this works, but to make this something that we would want to play over and over and over, and not just for like a single campaign, we would need to change a lot more. And so we wound up just writing our own system, which then spawned Horde Wars, and then eventually the sci-fi game came out this month.
So that's interesting that you started with building a sci-fi game and then sort of got the rules for that, and then that sort of developed into a fantasy game, and then the sci-fi game came later.
Yeah, Horde Wars was something I wrote most of the core rules for like the character facing stuff in basically a week. Nate was out of town, and I was writing it as a thought exercise, as a way to think about character abilities in a different genre, because that was the thing we were struggling with at the time, was the character abilities for what became Dropship. And he liked it. We play tested it, and our play testers liked it so much, we were like, oh, let's just finish this one first.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, it's cool. And I mean, I think you did a great job. Obviously I played it at CNY, and it was, it's interesting, right? To play a game where the kind of central die is, not a D20 or like a D6 pool, or like, I mean, there's not a lot of love for the D12 out there.
Sadly, no.
So that's, it's good to see that,
See, I went backwards. Then, you guys started with older games, and then I played this and this and this. See, my group started with 5th edition, so it came out when I was 15. So then we worked backwards from there.
Jesus.
Well, I mean, for us, it was like, because what really we wanted to do at our table was to make something for us to play our worlds with, which were very science fantasy. We had weird things in there, and fifth edition was already like so bloated only a couple years after it came out. I mean, even just the core books or whatever. It wasn't until we got to OD&D where we were like, oh, this is a really good skeleton. Now we can just mess with it and add things to it. And but I don't know. Going back to the idea of where the line is, because there are, I don't really know if there are designers out there that are like game out of the ether without any ideas or mechanics that they're basing anything on. But
that would be like really like interesting to see, like if somebody were to make like an RPG that is not influenced by anything else that's out there. I mean, it would. I can't even imagine that. That's a thing.
We did do a fun thought experiment once on the Discord server where we were sitting there saying, okay, let's say that it started with the joke of like, oh, which RPG is older, and then people were finding more historical things, and oh, look, Fritz Lieber's Lankmar game in the 30s, that's cool. Sure. That whole argument of like, oh, how far back does it go? And we were joking about like Romans playing D&D back with their little D20s and everything. And
have you seen their D12s?
Yeah, right. Well, we stumbled on all that, and we're joking about what would an RPG look like if like Tacitus sat down while he was a kid in Rome and was trying to play war games with his friends, and then trying to figure out, well, what would his game inspirations be at the time? Like, what war games would he base off of? But I think, especially now, like with the newer school mechanics that are coming in, I've been seeing a lot more, I don't want to call it weird game mechanics, but things I wouldn't have thought of coming out of it. But I'm trying to think of one I just saw recently. Somebody was talking about on our server. It wasn't even a full game. It was like a blog that somebody had written up of their house rules. But anyway.
Yeah. So to me, the thing that makes it time to write your own RPG. If you started playing one, which it sounds like we all did, started playing an RPG, or more than one, and then we're like, I want to hack this or edit this, and then we're like, oh no, I should make a game. I think that the dividing point where you need to reject the existing system and write your own is where you need to start rejecting core mechanics in order to make the game that you want to play.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you're writing and this is quite common, a 5th edition hack that cuts away some of the core rules of 5th edition, you really mean that you want to play a different game.
Yep.
It's no longer a supplement or a kind of general modification for like a genre. It's like, no. I don't want to have these things work the way that they're supposed to in the core rules.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Like the first, now my game design career actually started, as I think a lot of people did, writing for other companies. My first work was for Palladium Books, and then I wrote for Eden Studios after that. I've written for Misfit Studios. I write for Troll Lord Games, and none of that is designing my own game mechanics, but it's game design nevertheless. I mean, when I came up with the modern vehicle combat rules and the firearms rules for Amazing Adventures, that's game design, because it might be Siege Engine, but those rules didn't exist for the Siege Engine yet.
Yeah.
But that said, what Todd says is really valid. My first game that I did myself, my first core game, was Spellcrafted Swordplay, and that whole thing started with me making mounds of notes on how you were supposed to use the chainmail man-to-man combat rules to adjudicate combat in OD&D, because it says it through all the books. Now, we all know now, like we're all well aware now, that Gary and company never actually used those rules. They used the D20 quote-unquote alternate system from the start. But I guess to save space, or to push their other game, or to use terminology that their audience already understood, whatever. They made all those references in OD&D, that you're supposed to use the man-to-man combat rules, that you're supposed to use chainmail for morale, you're supposed to use this, that, and the other thing. So I started making all these notes, and on the ODD 74 boards, we've talked about this for ages. And at some point, I realized that I had written half a system just from making notes, trying to figure out how to do this. I had a core unified mechanic. And from there, I extrapolated that 2d6 man-to-man combat system to attribute checks, to spellcasting rule. Well, the spellcasting rules also came out of chainmail, but to exploration, to thief skills, to class abilities. I had extrapolated all of that to become a core mechanic based on 2d6. And as Todd said, at some point you get to the point where this is no longer just using chainmail combat with OD&D. It's taken on a life of its own, and it's something new now.
That kind of happened with us with when our group was playtesting some of the pre-draft D&D games, like Beyond This Point, Be Dragons, and that sort of thing. And it's like at its face, it looks the same. They've changed, as they cleaned it up and published it. But we were playing it, and it's like the instant kill rules and stuff. It really does change some stuff. Yeah, it's all percentile.
So yeah.
And it's really neat seeing, just those little tweaks in the core of something, how different it kind of made it feel when we were playing it. I had a talk recently with somebody. He was discussing the idea of like, basically his point was that was in favor of like a free Kriegspiel, rules don't matter, which I'm kind of in the middle between rules Kriegspiel and free Kriegspiel, which if you don't know what that whole thing is about, it's basically open gaming versus like hard coded rules
for everything.
Yeah. I know Alexander McCrease brought up a really good point recently in favor of rules Kriegspiel, which was all like, if you don't know, then having something you can actually follow helps. Like if you're not an experienced referee. But in that discussion, he was like, well, the mechanics, it's all kind of fluff. But I come from a lot of board games too. And I know that there's a big difference between putting Monopoly on the table and the game of life. Like just the mechanics of a game on the back end can add a different flavor to what you're doing. Like when we were doing dropship at the convention, the speed of combat was intensified by just I just know I need to grab my D12, throw it, and do this. Versus if we're doing something like AD&D second edition, or Rollmaster, that's it, but you can get things out of both of those. But when folks are going in trying to design things and they think they might have this little core mechanic that kind of adds to it, changing little things like percentages matters a lot. So
yeah. Now, Roger, what about you for your home alterations of games? If you're still there, you look like you froze.
I think he froze up a little bit.
All right.
We lost Roger. Does that mean we're all
Oh, we lost our first guest. Time to bring on somebody else.
If we all disappear, don't leave. We'll be back.
All right. And for our next guest, we have the ghost of Robert Howard.
Hopefully, special guest and host Game Master Roger will be back shortly.
You're right.
But no, I think I think that it's very rare now to see like emergent role-playing games that are not related to something that came before. Like there may have been some in the past, but the how can I phrase this? Information sharing is too ubiquitous, I think, to avoid that in most situations.
Yeah, it's almost impossible to avoid. I mean, at some point you're going to be drawing on stuff. I think a lot of times game designers kind of mess themselves up by trying to be too different in a lot of
Yes.
ways. They're like, "Oh, I need to have this weird unique thing in my game that's different from everybody else and nobody uses it." And there might be a good reason why nobody does it.
Yeah.
That's true. Now, one advantage that Nate and I had was being able to take a lot of time in play testing, and so we were able to try out like 3 or 4 different initiative systems, or 3 different ways to adjudicate how does like a fireball or a lightning bolt type effect work, or this sort of
Right.
thing, and basically just literally time it at the table and go, what's fastest, and does it achieve the same variable outcomes as what's most common, um, and that kind of thing, and that was, I think, really helpful for us, in the end product. It's not that any of those other options weren't playable, but the
Mhm.
combination of alterations or innovations makes for a lot faster gameplay.
Right.
And I don't know about you, Matt, with how you feel about your alterations to kind of old D&D. If you feel that the changes that you've made help the game flow better,
Yeah.
I know for sure. Although I'm sure Jason will be able to clarify that his changes would increase speed compared to
Yes.
base because of the codification.
Unless I'm stumbling over my own damn rules.
Yeah. Oh, see, I increased speed when I found mechanics that were bogging down like unnecessarily. But then there were also areas where I kind of added more to it because I realized that there was some gamification fun when resolving it. Like when it came to the casting system, I went with the whole chainmail 2d6 casting, but then added in the idea of critical miscasting and then raising that value as it goes up. And there's a little quick reference to the chart if you're casting spells at different levels. But when we ran it at the table and play tested it, that 1 second extra time added a lot of fun at the table. A lot of people really enjoyed it. So versus just saying, "Oh, the spell goes off, it happens," which at our game or in our game, I was like, that's worth spending a little extra time doing. But
Let me point out too. It's really interesting how parallel development works a lot of times with these things. Like I was not familiar with Barrows and Borderlands at all before I met you at CNYCon. I'm really glad that we swapped our games,
yeah,
because your miscasting system for spells is very similar to my spell failure table.
oh, that's
And
cool,
neither of us had any idea of the other one when we came up with it.
right?
I think mine is a little more. Mine has the potential to be a little more catastrophic than yours.
I wasn't too evil with mine. I don't know. My
you
players
can
think I'm
actually
evil.
summon like a 20 hit die demon from hell that just starts attacking everything in sight in mine.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's really hard to do and is only going to happen when you fail a higher level spell. But yeah, my spell failure table ranges from the spell just doesn't work to you explode and take everybody in the area with you.
Yes.
So I should mention, I have just heard from Roger, a tree just fell on his house.
Oh no!
So
that will stop a stream.
He says, "Keep on going. I'll try to jump on in a bit." But he had a surprise storm pop up and drop a tree on his house.
Awesome.
Well, if he joins and it looks
By
like the
awesome,
Shire,
I mean very much not awesome.
No,
very much not awesome.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully he's all right. And like the parallel design stuff. Mine was initially inspired by, actually Dungeon Crawl Classics a little bit because we'd played some of that too, and I liked that there were variances in how the spells worked, but I didn't enjoy having half the book be entire pages of spells. I'm like, no one's ever gonna write that down.
My one problem with my one real problem with Dungeon Crawl Classics because I really like a lot of the mechanics in it. I like how the dice step
Yeah.
for your bonus, whatever they call you, bonus die, your bonus, the bonus die that you roll for whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
And I think that on its face, the rolling to see what your spell does every time is neat. And it adds kind of a prop element to it because your wizard, the player playing his wizard, has a spell book with him that he has to consult when he casts a spell. But by the same token, good God, does that slow down the game?
It slows it down quite a bit.
Not in a fun way. It's everybody sitting and waiting for the caster to figure out what his spell does this round.
Yep.
It actually goes back to one of the problems I used to have with, and I'm going to get crucified for this because I always do. One of the problems I used to have with West End Games D6 Star Wars. That game was so slow to play in resolution. If you had a Jedi and he was using the Force and he spent a Force point for lightsaber combat and suddenly he's rolling 20 dice that he has to add up at the table. No matter how good at math you are, everybody is sitting twiddling their thumbs watching you organize your dice to add up the 20 dice. And it just it grinds the game to a halt.
Yeah, we played with no Force users for a reason.
Yeah.
Well, so I recently in the Radioactive Tougaloo supplement, I was playing around with what my take on like a Force user would be. Obviously, calling it something different, but playing around with it. I was inspired for that by like Knights of the Old Republic, the video game, and the way that the powers were selected as you gained power in the game. But and then I wound up sticking with a point system though, like almost like a mana pool for Force abilities and stuff like that, just because it fit that flavor for there. But no, I understand the feeling about WEG. But.
Yeah. Now, Baron Karza asked if I dislike TNT, which I assume is Tunnels and Trolls or Shadowrun. I have honestly, and I'm ashamed to admit this, I've never played Tunnels and Trolls in my life. No, I like Shadowrun. I like Shadowrun a lot. Shadowrun is not like West End Games D6 because Shadowrun, you're throwing a fistful of dice and you are looking for a specific number on those dice.
Right.
It's way different counting sixes than it is adding together 20 dice. Way, way, way different. Counting the number of 5s to 6s you get can be done at a glance. I can't say anything about Tunnels and Trolls because I've never actually played it. I've always wanted to. I've just never really had the opportunity to sit down and play it. So.
Yes. Pass-fail dice pools are significantly faster than add everything up. That is for sure. And I know I don't know if you see it, Matt, and if you want to address it, you've got a comment from Starblazer there.
Let me see.
It looks like a trap.
A trap. Oh no. It's a trap. Right in the middle of the Star Wars conversation. Let's see.
You came up in a different stream saying you ripped another YouTuber off. Can you address this? He's a legit big.
Ripped him off. Oh, who did I rip off?
Streamer. It's made you look sus.
Who did I rip
Yeah, that
off?
does sound like a chat.
Yeah, I don't know.
That sounds like a Mad Max. That's bait.
Yeah, I don't know. Shoot me a DM. I didn't know I'd rip somebody off, but maybe I did.
Sounds like someone else
my
was making
Here's the thing.
accusations.
And I'm gonna.
It
I
was
don't
my
know
evil twin brother.
I don't know what specifically you're talking about, but I'm gonna stick up for Matt for a second. If he's talking about borrowing an idea from another YouTuber or another designer, every single person in the industry borrows ideas from everyone else.
Yeah.
There's nothing suspect about it. There's absolutely nothing suspect about it. Everyone does it.
Yeah.
And anybody who is honest about it will own it. I mean, none of us are going to lie about it. If anybody tells you that their system is completely original, either they're lying or their system sucks.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. You should take the time to learn from what came before you and also learn from what competitors or what peers are doing. Because if you can't be bothered to do that, you're going to make a crappy product.
Yeah.
Because you won't know as a brand new designer what is a good idea unless you bother to learn what came before and worked and didn't work, and what is currently being used and that people like. Because even if you write a game that functions internally, and it may be deeply unappealing at a visceral level to people, and just by checking, hey, has anyone ever tried this before? How did other people react? It could save you a lot of heartache.
I've had people come up to me at conventions when I'm trying to sell them my game, and they go, "Well, what did you do that's innovative in your game?" And I go, "Nothing." As far as my rules go, I don't believe in innovation for the sake of innovation. I think it's smoke and mirrors. I always say that dice exist for one reason and one reason only, and that's to generate a random result. Anything else is phony. Being different just for the sake of being different usually means you're not doing it in the best way that it can be done.
Yeah. Most of our rules were from games that we had been playing over the years at our table. I mean, we stuck with what we liked, and that kind of went back to the old discussion of like, at what point do you call the ship of Theseus a new ship once you've added parts to it and mixed things together? But yeah, I mean, I've been watching YouTube videos on game designs for a very long time, so I have guarantee you I've picked up a couple things over the years. But I don't know. If somebody's really upset, though, you can shoot me a DM. I just didn't know about it. But
yeah, I mean, on my end, I deliberately spend a lot of time researching, where I'm reading dozens to hundreds of books, or also the same for like listening to audiobooks, or also watching episodes of TV shows or watching movies that are in the genre. Because if I'm working on a game in a specific genre, I want to understand what's popular in this genre and try to incorporate some of those ideas, not just from RPGs, but like from history for a medieval era RPG like Horde Wars, or from popular science fiction for Dropship, so that if you wanted to hack our rules and play a different setting than our core setting, that you could, and that you could use it usefully in other military sci-fi.
That's the reason why, and in retrospect, this was a huge mistake that I'm going to rectify on my next printing. The reason why I split Wasted Lands into 2 books was because a lot of my fan base wanted the setting to be easily divorced from the rules so that they didn't have to use my setting. So what I did was I made the setting a part of the GM's guide, and made it a separate book. Now, in the end, that was a mistake, because I have a lot of people just buying my core book and not buying the GM's guide. So I have a bunch of GM's guides that are going to end up getting pulped, because like, what can I do? Sell them at a discount? Sure. But then that just leads to people buying more core books without buying the GM's guide. So, and we all make mistakes. You do something that seems like it's the best thing to do when you do it, and then it comes out in the wash and it didn't work out. So yeah, my next printing of Wasted Lands is going to be a single volume, but it will still be exactly the same game. You'll still be able to divorce the setting from the rules and play any type of fantasy you want with it. Just like you can play any type of fantasy with 13 parsecs, just like you can play any type of modern game with Night Shift.
Yeah.
I think that's important. I think we all have our darling setting in our head that we have been working on since we started gaming when we were toddlers, relatively speaking. And we want everybody to play
when
that.
Matt was a toddler, specifically.
When Matt was a toddler. Before Matt was born. We've been working on these things since before Matt was born.
It's only a couple years ago. I don't know.
But again, it comes to where you have to let your ego go as a game designer, and realize that probably the majority of people that are going to be interested in your game aren't necessarily interested in your setting. Hopefully a bunch of them will be, but there's also a lot of people you got to sell to that they love the Shadowrun setting, to use an example that somebody else said. They love the Shadowrun setting, but they don't like the rules. And they're looking at 13 parsecs to play a Shadowrun type game. So I think it's important to have core rules that aren't directly and inexorably tied to a setting.
Yeah, that was a big one for me with in Barrows and Borderlands. I multiple times I'm like, here's what I had in mind, but like, ignore that. Here's a couple other ways you could do it as far as the setting goes. Because I was really like, obviously I've been working on parts of my setting for about 12 years. And then, but I also knew that anytime I've ever bought a product, I think the only time I haven't just kind of ignored the setting was, I think, maybe Hyperborea, but that one kind of spoke to me. Obviously, I mean, I like science fantasy, so but even then it's like, well, my table, this is my Hyperborea, the way it runs or whatever, if we're going to play in that setting. I am surprised sometimes, though, whenever I talk to some of the guys on the Discord, the amount of people that are like hardcore for 1 or 2.
Hey, look who's back.
Hey.
Real quick, I don't want to interrupt you, Matt, but Baron Karza,
Yeah.
I'm putting a link in the chat right now to my Discord.
And Roger has avoided being crushed by a tree.
Yes.
Yeah.
And also, call me Jason, not Mr. Vay. My dad's not even Mr. Vay.
Mr. Vay. Sorry about that, guys. Yeah, had some issues. A tree, part of a tree out front fell, and it hit my house. And the house seems okay, some scratches, but it also took out my fiber line.
Dang.
So I don't have internet access right now. So I'm hotspotting my phone.
See, GM Roger, he used to walk amongst the trees, but now all he has is metal on his mind. So,
Yeah.
the Ints have attacked.
There's trouble in the forest.
All right.
What a day. Storm came in out of nowhere.
GM Roger lives in Isengard, so.
Yeah. Yeah, fantastic.
Treebeard's having his revenge.
Right.
So, yeah. Oh, that's my daughter there. Look at that. That's actually my daughter.
At Roger's daughter 218. That's clever.
Yeah. Well, it was something else, and she used to have to keep saying that she's my daughter, or I used to have to say that, hey, that's my daughter, and all of that. And so
behave, that's my daughter.
This was just easier that way. Yeah. I can confirm. Yeah. So no, not like behave, that's my daughter, but I would. Yeah. So, but yeah, so sorry about that, guys. I guess the whole, wrath of God thing, you know what I mean? I don't know what I was saying about game design, but somebody didn't like it. So
well, it's okay. We had a couple of the guests on. I guess we can bring you back into the circle, but
yeah, I don't know.
Returning special guest.
Yeah. So,
I'm just glad. Yeah. I'm just glad that when you went away, it didn't shit can the whole chat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It all stayed on. So
yeah.
But
yeah. No, it should. It should. It supposedly with Restream, it'll stay on for like an hour without the host. So
nice.
Pretty good.
I don't know. I didn't want to test that, but hopefully we can get the internet restored. But yeah, anyway, yeah. Sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to intrude.
So
the Pinkertons hired the trees to stop the stream, and as we all know, WotC hires the Pinkertons.
Yeah.
And Wizards of the Coast hates small publishers, so we got a real conspiracy.
Who knows?
Starting here.
Guys, you guys want to see these new Magic cards I got? No, I'm just kidding.
Oh my God! Don't even joke.
I know, right? Oh man.
Now, when it comes to because I was as the trees were driving Roger away, I was trying to ask him, Roger, what have you had any things that you've added to your personal gameplay when you're running games that you felt have sped up the game or like improved the quality?
Wow. When it comes to speeding up the game and improving the quality, I gotta say, like, I don't. A lot of it's funny. A lot of people get on me because I talk a lot about Shadow Dark, but there's like a lot of things from Shadow Dark that I've sort of used that I will take and use, like for in the future for forever. And like that's going around the table, for initiative. and that's not something new to Shadow Dark, right? But it's something that is
we
predominant in
released
Shadow Dark.
the same thing the same
Right.
year.
I was gonna say, yeah.
Right. No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying from playing
Yeah.
Shadow Dark, like that's one of the things that they push is like simplicity and like doing initiative, and then the always in initiative order thing.
Mhm.
I've started doing that in my games. It is amazing how quick you will go through things because everybody like has something to do, and it's like, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? And as soon as it gets to me as a GM, like I'm happy to write. I make a little tally mark on on a whiteboard or something like that, and when I have if they're in the wilderness or something, 3 tally marks, I'll roll an encounter. If they if they're making noise, it'll just be 1. I'll make a thing. So that's crazy. So but it's just amazing how much it speeds up everything. So
Hey, Roger, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
Do you happen to have moderation privileges?
Yeah, I don't know.
Because Starblazer appears to need a boot at this point.
he's been
I was
Otherwise,
just
we
reading
can
that
keep
in private
ignoring
chat,
him.
but yeah, I mean, he's here just to attack. He attacked Matt while you were out here, calling him disingenuous and underhanded, and now he's calling you
Oh, fantastic.
dishonest.
Yeah, no, I see.
He
that.
figured out
That's-
all of our
that-
dark secrets while
there's
we
people-
were twirling our mustaches before the
There's
stream.
there was somebody else in the chat at one point that said that I was said that same thing. It may have been the same guy. It made a comment on another video when I talked about CNY about how much that I made money or that. So they made the joke. They said something about that I made WotC money or something. I was like, yeah, that's, it's whatever. People are people are going to be people. It's what are you going to do? So everybody that actually knows. So you can see the records that there's nothing that's hidden.
Yeah.
So whatever.
Also, I have a pretty good idea because I can do math about roughly how much money you took in
Yeah.
and about roughly how much you spent. It's not. It doesn't
it's
take
not
a
that
rocket
hard.
scientist.
No.
And if anybody wants to look at the receipts, I'm more than happy to share the receipts.
In
and,
point of fact,
my-
can we talk about how many times
So,
you told those of us who were guests and vendors there that you were bound and determined to lose money this year?
Well,
Yeah.
that's true. I
Yeah.
did. Yeah, I can say that.
Yeah. And then to reinforce
so-
it, I believe he bought us all dinner.
Yeah, exactly. He went above and beyond.
Oh, that's true. I did that.
Yeah.
I did.
And like I said, if I'd have known you were going to take us to that restaurant and pay for us, I would have ordered the $40.
Dude, I'd have had
Well,
the
that's why I
lobster
didn't
steak.
lead with
No, I'm
that.
just
That's why I
kidding.
didn't lead with that. You know what
I
I mean?
know.
Why I didn't
Oh, man.
lead with that stuff. So.
That's why he started dinner. It was like, hey, this thing on special is really good. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
No, that's just because he was bound and determined to make everyone eat chicken riggies.
That is true. The chicken riggies were really good. But
Yeah. Well, it's true. But we're actually going to do that next year. We're talking about doing that where I'm going to actually make everybody eat chicken riggies. No,
that'd be cool.
well, sort of, but I'm going to do like a dinner beforehand, and it's going to be, like chicken riggies and that sort of thing. So we'll see. Some like a taste of Utica thing. I credit my wife with that. So,
well,
but yeah. So
By the way, Roger, what is your wife's
Interesting.
name? Because the only thing you've ever referred to her as my wife. Like the
Yeah,
whole weekend,
that's true.
I just kept seeing you pointing at her and going, "This is my wife. My wife
True.
says this.
My wife.
What is her name?"
my wife, it even said that on the badge. It said the wife.
Yes,
the
it
wife.
did.
Her name is Jean, Jean, Jean.
Okay.
Jean. Yeah. She's fantastic. I mean, she's got to put up with me. So, but yeah, guys, sorry if I came in, got off topic, but yeah. So, yeah, it's interesting. Like, so just from using Shadow Dark, like that's been kind of an easy thing that I've used, to make the game go quicker. Definitely, like keeping an initiative order and whatnot. That definitely makes things, move quick. I've always tried to like simplify things, with games. I don't know. Some people don't like it when you make stuff up at the table. It's the whole like rulings over rules thing. Agile. There's no need, buddy. It's fine. It's okay. Starblazer's welcome to come to CNY. He can come hang out and check it out. He'd probably have a good time.
Talk to us
I
in
mean,
person.
come and
Yeah.
check it out,
Yep.
and then
For all we
and
know,
then make your
that's just-
judgment from there.
For all we know,
You
that's
know.
just Dan's alt account, and he's just messing with us.
So,
It could just
Um,
it could legit just be somebody trying to mess with us.
Yeah, it's just Dan.
but
I said I go
I've
straight
always-
to Dan. I feel like he'd be the one to do it, but
I've always liked you were talking about I think Kriegspiel, free Kriegspiel, and whatnot. When I got kind of left, it's interesting. I don't know if you guys covered this while I was gone, so I apologize. But like rules light or no rules, like Kriegspiel or whatever, or rules light games, when played long term, they always become rules heavy. I think, and it's because every time you make a ruling, you have, not that you have to like stick with it every time, but like
But you kind of do.
you
kinda
kind of do,
do.
right? Because otherwise somebody down the road is gonna, Jason's gonna be like, well, when Matt did this, you
Yep.
ruled it this way and he got all this extra stuff, and how come I only get this or what?
I actually
And
talk
so-
about that in the GM sections of my books. How consistency is king if you're going to run.
Yeah.
A game.
And so
Yeah.
if you're going to run a game, like so people say like, okay, like Morkborg, right, is a great example. I like Morkborg for one shots and stuff. I think it's fun, but it's very rules light. But like if you tried to play it over the long term, like every time you make a ruling, like you got to write that down, or you got to keep memory of it, and then before you know it, you've got a printout or whatever, a huge stack of stuff.
Yeah.
And that's
So-
to be fair in gameplay. For those who are reading or listening, reading chat or listening to us talk, the idea is that the game master should be fairly arbitrating the rules. And in order to be fair, you need to be consistent about ruling the same thing the same way.
yeah.
Sure.
That's
Sure.
that's what he's getting at about all these things that you have to effectively record.
Yeah.
Consistency is definitely important. I have noticed though, because I play both really rules heavy games and really rules light rules light games. But I have noticed that if you're consistent, having player facing rules be a bit more easy. This is maybe the wrong word, but a bit more light on the players and being a bit heavier on the referees can be really good. Like I use it as an example every once in a while. Maybe it's just because I like McCrease. No, it's because I like his game. In Acts 2, for example, if you're a player in Acts 2, you don't need to know too much. You can. It's very BX coded, but then for the referees, you've got 1,500 pages of like, well, how would I run a mercantile guild in the middle of this campaign or whatever, and it kind of gives you some background consistency to go off of. I have seen some other games that are not very rules light on the player's side, and it winds up being very hard to get new players interested in them.
Yeah.
Like my older
Sure.
players, I could be like, oh, here's 500 pages of stuff you need to know, and they'll be fine with it. But when I'm running at the game store for 15-year-olds, they want to know how to play in like 10 minutes.
I mean, if I can bring up two different rules lights games to kind of hammer this home. One of my favorite systems out there ever, and I used to write for the company, is the Cinematic Unisystem from Eden Studios that powered Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Angel and Ghosts of Albion and Army of Darkness. And it is a super rules light system that is very much like, what's the name of the system that is in Cyberpunk? Fusion? Is that the Cyberpunk system?
I don't know what they call it.
It's very similar at its core to that, but super rules light.
Mhm.
And the problem with it is that by the time you get a couple years into a game, it's almost impossible for your characters to fail at anything they do. They just succeed with aplomb at everything they do, and it becomes really hard to challenge them, be it in combat, be it in skill difficulties, whatever. It becomes really hard to challenge them, and that's definitely a weakness of rules light systems in the way they work that way, because your characters keep getting better and better and better, and pretty soon they exceed the threshold for how the rules light system works. Another game is the new official Conan role-playing game
Mhm.
by Monolith. I'm running it right now in my Friday group, and we're having a blast with it. It is probably my favorite Conan game that's been put out of all of them, ever since the original
Yeah.
TSR all the way on. However, none of us are sold that it's going to hold up over the long term because it's so rules light and it is entirely combat focused. There
Mhm.
are no skills in that game that are not combat focused in some way or another. So there's no rules for what languages you speak. There's no rules for, you know, blacksmithing. There's no rules for survival checks. There's nothing. There's no skills like that. It's all of their skills are basically D&D style feats that you add to your attribute checks. So none of us are sold that the game is going to last. I've already had to house rule it for to give people backgrounds so that I know what they know outside of fighting, and
Right.
come up with language rules so we know how many languages people speak, you know, which aren't in the game. So
Well, I've seen there is a little bit of how would I put this? There was some sort of magic. One of the days we ran the game for a group of players that had never played anything before, and they never saw the rule book, and all they had was like the core stats, and we rolled them real quick. I didn't get into too much else. I don't even know if I rolled up classes and races. I was just kind of like, here's your stats. We'll go off of just that. And when they played, there was just something. I keep calling it magical, but there was something neat about like the ideas they were trying out in the game because they weren't referencing, mechanics in the background. But I feel like I was only able to do that because of how many games I had run without them having to carry any of the weight of the mechanics for me. I think that was kind of the point being made online when I saw it was like, you can have a really free Kriegspiel, really open game with not a lot of rules, and it'll run good, kind of proportionate to how good of a referee you are or how mechanically knowledgeable you are in running games, or even just the percentage chances of things working, because then you're filling in the gaps where the game isn't. But
Right, but at a certain point though, you can make it so light that it's not a useful product or
Yeah,
something
a
you should
non-game.
sell. It's
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, that's a page that you wrote, I guess.
Right,
But
right.
because I've seen games that work that way.
Yeah.
And there's a point where it goes too far, even if you're relying on game master judgment, and the
Yeah.
inherent flaw, like Macrease was pointing out, is that you are relying on game master judgment.
Yeah.
That there is no standard for certain activities, like how long it might take to ford a river, for example,
Yeah.
or that sort of thing. But I did want to say, Agile Monk, thank you very much for the compliment.
I think we can all say that he's given us all nice compliments here.
I love the one comment though where he says that Todd and me are young, but I don't think he called Jason young, and I love that.
I'm not.
I'm just kidding.
I wish I was. I wish
But-
daily I was.
I mean, Roger and I are about the same age. If
Yeah.
that helps.
Well,
How old are
I
you
I think
guys?
I look older. I don't know.
If it's not rude to ask on a public stream, how old are you guys?
You're not supposed to
20.
ask how old.
I'll be-
It's-
Oh, that's a.
Matt, I
How
know
old
you.
do you
I'll
think?
give you a
Look,
hint. My
I-
oldest is about 3 or 4 years younger than Matt.
Wow.
and
I mean, my
I'll
oldest-
be
My daughter's 13. I hide my gray hair behind the microphone.
And the hat. Yeah.
No, I don't have any gray
I will
hairs up there.
I will step up and admit I am turning 52 in a month. So
I'll be 27 in 2 weeks. So
2 weeks. Wow. 27.
Yeah.
Wow.
yeah,
I was never that young. I'll be 46. I'll be 47. I'll be 47. I'll be something in
What's that?
in a few weeks.
you guys remember the Matilda movie and the
No.
headmistress of the school.
I didn't watch that.
Sorry,
I'm
that's
very-
Okay,
not
well.
for us, Matt.
Well, there's a scene where she says, "Oh, kids, I can't stand them. Glad I never was one." Oh, but plenty of time to make
Yeah.
the same.
Yeah,
dumb
Matt has
mistakes
plenty of
as
time to
us.
make some
Matt
dumb
is the
mistakes.
head of the
for us,
game.
for
He fit in quite well with all us Gen Xers and millennials and older millennials at CNYCon.
He
So,
did, yeah.
I made a
Well, I
lot of
think
mistakes.
a lot of that
quickly.
was the old school, the old school vibe. You know what I mean? I mean, that's, we
Yeah.
we definitely have a lot in common and stuff. And Matt does act like he's not he acts like he's not the child that he is.
Well,
How's
see,
that?
I was raised by a guy that was raised by the greatest generation, so I was kind of raised
Yeah.
by a boomer. So
Yeah, there you go.
that's kind of how it lines up there. But
I was absolutely raised by a boomer. He's 76 this year. And
Well, there you go.
My mom and dad are both 76. So, yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah.
think my
Wow.
parents are not to make them feel old in case they're watching, but they're
Oh,
around
boy.
y'all's age. So
Oh boy.
Night
Oh boy.
I'm just going to say, since we're talking about game design, we can all agree, right, that this is the greatest design game in history. Yes.
Nightlife.
Nightlife. Oh boy.
Man.
I have
Oh,
the
boy.
entire game line, and this is the mythical
Wow.
third edition that everybody says doesn't exist. It
Really?
exists, folks. Yes.
See,
Wow.
now here's a good
Actually,
game
that was
design
that was a Lulu version that I had made. This is actually the original third edition soft cover.
What a cover too. That screams like either late 90s or what era is that? Probably late 90s.
This was 80s, I think 80s.
80s?
Late
Late
80s, maybe.
Maybe, hang on, let me look. Copyright 1990, 1991, and 1992. So third
Yeah.
edition was 1992. And some of you, if you are Goodman Games fans especially, you will be familiar with Brad McDevitt, the artist. He was actually one of the designers on that game back in the day. Super, super nice guy. And I actually have a soft spot for Nightlife. It's tricky. The mechanics can be tricky. They're fiddly. In play, it's a basic percentile system, but figuring out the percentiles can be very fiddly.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I had a good question because I was thinking about, like, I know you brought up earlier, we've got sort of new school design, mixed design, and old school design all at the same table right now. And is there a new school design that is making rounds that y'all have seen that you like, and also one that you don't like? Like, for example, well, I know, Jason, you've been messing around with Fate Points. I was reading some of that in I keep wanting to say Nightlife now. Night Shift. You had
Yeah.
Nightlife right in my face. I was like, not Nightlife. But yeah, are there any of those sort of newer mechanics that have spawned that you guys seem to like, or ones that you guys don't like?
I mean, I
Games
think I
are
said
mechanics.
already. Eden Studios Unisystem is my favorite new school design. Absolutely. I don't know about things that I don't. I mean, so I wouldn't say there's anything that I actively don't like that I can think of now. I am not the fan of Shadow Dark that everybody else is. Which isn't to say I don't like it at all. I think it's a very well designed game. I think Kelsey's a great person. I'm not going to say anything bad about her or her game.
Sure.
But it doesn't resonate with me personally. But I couldn't go so far as to say I don't like it.
Yeah.
I'm not crazy about. I really liked the first edition of Cubicle 7's Doctor Who role-playing game. Was not crazy about the second edition. Oh, the One Ring. I hate it.
Yeah.
Really?
That's the one. I absolutely
Really?
hate that game. That game is so badly designed that when they brought in originally a bunch
Wow.
of actual professional game designers to be in on the playtest group for that game, like the closed playtest group, and it was a board game pretending to be a role-playing game. there's no other way to describe it. Sort of like 4th edition D&D was. But when we tried to kind of push it when we tried to push it kind of in the direction of more of a role-playing game and less of a everything is driven by hard specific mechanics, we were told that we were not allowed to use the phrase board gamey or board game mechanics. And then the designer actually came into the playtest group. He had been absent. They had been feeding our comments to him. He showed up in the group and said, thanks for all your comments, but I'm not changing a damn thing. And everybody quit. Everybody in the playtest quit. So, Chancellor, the question was, are there any new school games that we like and any that we don't? And
I'll ask the question of you then. Is there any new school stuff that you do like, Jason?
Like I said, I love Eden Studios. I love the Unisys. Absolutely love it. And the new Conan game, which is brand new, is probably my favorite Conan game that's ever been put out. And I'm not, this is going to sound like I'm pandering, but I'm really not. I really liked Dropship. I think Todd's design is outstanding.
Yeah. I agree. You're definitely pandering.
All Flesh Must Be Eaten is the classic Unisystem, and then the Buffy the Vampire Slayer version was cinematic. And I geared more towards cinematic.
It's basically D10 plus attribute plus skill for
against
most
the
things,
target
right?
number of 9.
Yeah.
So, what about you, Matt? Did you have any that stand out that you're not liking or that you really do like?
Well, one thing I have seen, and I'm not so sure whether or not I like it or I don't like it, is a move in some of like the rules light games where they get rid of mental attributes from the game. And the sort of idea of like, I understand both sides of the argument, but there's something about me. It's like, well, I like having them anyway. But somebody brought up, they were like, well, if you have, let's say, an intelligence stat, you have a player that goes, oh, well, I can't do this, or I have to figure out how to act dumb or act smart, that kind of thing, with the way I play the character. And so they get rid of the whole idea of running intelligence or charisma or wisdom at all, and they just use like strength, dex, con for the entire game. I get it, but there's just it feels like it strips too much away for me.
Yes, I agree. And I think that's lazy saying, players shouldn't have to pretend that they're not smart. Why? You're playing a character.
Yeah.
That's the whole point.
Right.
You're playing a character. Your character can be dumb, and it's okay to play that. Now, if you don't want to play a dumb character, then you address that with the GM during your session 0 when the game starts. I'm really not comfortable playing a dumb character. And he works with it. You can adjust, maybe you can adjust one stat up to bring another one down or something, Well,
I've also like, I always thought of the intelligence sort of stat in most games, not necessarily being like, oh, you're acting dumb or acting smart, but it's like your ability to absorb new information, So you could have somebody that has like let's say like a 5 intelligence, and they know a lot, but it took them a long time to learn those things,
Well, they might then have a high wisdom.
Yeah, they could. Yeah, exactly. And it's like, well, I've been around the block, done a few things, but I might not know how to do like calculus now.
So I think one that I managed to dodge that problem by not using attributes as part of the core resolution mechanic when it comes to you interacting with the world, but they act more like saving throws.
Yeah.
But secondly, and so your intelligence is more based on like what skills you have and how good are you at them.
Right.
But secondly, we should get to Roger and me. Same question back to you, Roger. Do you have a newer school game that you like, or do you have one that you don't like for mechanical reasons, perhaps?
I don't know. Jason mentioned the One Ring, and I've only played it once and had a bad GM with it. In a one shot. But I thought the game was fine. I really like a lot of Free Leagues games that they've come out with, and I know things like Dragonbane are based are older kind of games, but I mean I've got a lot of their stuff. I'm looking at Vossen and I've got
Alien,
Forbidden Lands
uh,
over there,
Alien,
the
Blade
Alien
Runner.
game.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that stuff is really good.
Yeah.
I think they really evoke the setting. I mean, they've even though they're all like a similar system, they tweak the system enough to say, hey, let's make this work for this specific setting.
Let me
and I
ask
think
you
they've done a
something.
good job at that.
I
Yeah,
haven't seen,
even for the One Ring. I mean, I think
I haven't seen the current version of the One Ring. Now, my experiences were with the first edition way back when, and I think they're on their third edition of it now.
I
Is the
believe
rules-
so.
is
Yeah.
does it use the Year Zero engine now, or does it still use its own?
No, it's like a heavily modified Year Zero.
Okay, then it's
engine.
way different than the one that I played back in the day. So I don't know.
So
Yeah.
my thing, I get what you're saying though. When like it feels board gamey, there's definitely those mechanics that are in there where it feels like you're just kind of doing almost like a worker placement type of thing. You say, okay, I'm gonna go here and like do this, especially the downtime activities and stuff. But I bought this starter set because I want to run it. I played in a game and we were in the one shot. We were a bunch of hobbits and one dwarf, and we had to travel to stop some other hobbit from, I don't know, he stole a bunch of fireworks and firecrackers and was going to blow a hole in a mine to try and make money or something. I don't know, some crazy thing. And the GM like really wanted to skip and fast forward through us eating and the travel, which like, I don't know if you guys have ever seen Lord of the Rings, but like if you cut out the eating and the travel in those movies, they'd be amazing. I mean, I'll get crucified for that, I'm sure, but there's, there's like, I mean, that's what they're about, right? Like
Yeah.
they're about the journey, right? Like that's the whole thing. And so like this GM was just like, no, we're just going to hand wave the travel. And yeah, okay, you guys are there. And I was like, well, what time is it? And he's like, well, it's noon. And I was like, guys, we missed 11sies. Like, and the rest of the table, they were all like, yeah, oh my God, we got to find some place to eat. And the GM was, yeah, okay, you find some food. And like, you go. And like the rest of the table was like, no, what do we eat? We want to like sit down. We want to eat. And the GM just like didn't have that, like just go with the players thing or whatever. It just was like, no, okay, you guys travel to the place. And I'm like, well, how long does that take? Because we're going to miss lunch. And
that was one of the problems I had with the One Ring, and they did it, and it was a problem in their 5e version too, which I don't think I have anymore. I think I got rid of it. Their travel mechanics don't do anything with the journey. They just boil it down to what role is Joe playing? What role is Jeff playing? What role is Andy playing? Now everybody make a dice roll to find out what happens during the travel. And like back in the day, we used to call that role playing. You know?
Yeah. And that's that's something that we bake into, especially into Horde Wars, the travel between points, kind of a points of light where getting into a town or into a castle as a safety, an area of safety is actually a big deal. And going far from civilization is very dangerous for you. And that's, I think that's important, especially for medieval gameplay or anywhere where you're traveling through potentially hostile territory. Now, if you are literally just waiting and there is essentially no possibility of anything important happening until you get to the destination, in that situation, sure, speed ahead. That's probably a good idea.
At that point, you're running a point crawl or whatever, and you do it. Absolutely. Yeah. And my only thing with that is in this particular case, and what he's talking about, it's Lord of the Rings. Mm-hmm. Like the travel should be.
Yeah, that's terrible. That should be what.
Yeah, you have to know your setting. Now, if I could answer Baron's question, and then we'll let Todd answer the overall question.
Yeah, sorry.
I think it's somewhere in between. The DM absolutely has an obligation to deliver a good time to the players, and if your players aren't having a good time, that's the only way you fail as a DM. By the same token, yes, every so often the players have an obligation to jump on the plot train. Every so often. this whole idea about how the DM's job is just to sit there and adjudicate the rules while the players do whatever they want to do is ridiculous. The idea that it's somehow a sin or railroady for the GM to have a story or a plot in mind is ridiculous. Players, you can have player agency and a story at the same time. The whole idea of role playing is to have a collaborative storytelling experience where everybody does their part. The GM's job is to guide the story. And the players' jobs are to move the story forward by playing in character and acting as their characters do, and not deliberately trying to upset what's going on just for the sake of upsetting what's going on. I don't think that having a story in mind as the GM is equivalent to railroad. I think players can have agency and have meaningful choices while the GM still has an idea of an end game in mind for his adventure or campaign. That's why we have pre-written adventure modules. And that's why they still sell to this day. So
yeah, I don't know. I'm mostly, I guess, agree with you there. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't think any GM, like when you start a campaign, I think if you have an ending in mind, I think you're crazy. Like,
So
I mean, sorry, but like, I mean,
But
unless
guys-
it's like,
guys,
hey,
I
here's the
think-
goal of the campaign going. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I
Get
think
us
what you
back on track.
found is the topic for next time.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, I'm
actually.
fine with that. I'm fine with
I
that.
think that'd be I like that idea because I have hours to say about that. But
Same.
Yeah,
Actually.
all right.
So okay, Todd, you answer the overall question.
Yeah,
that we've all
yeah.
been
So
babbling
it took
Yeah,
me
go
a second to look it up. There is a genuinely terrible game called Absolute Power. And
Wow.
I'll give you an
Sounds perfect.
example of why it is bad. It has a supplement that was part of the Kickstarter called Urban Warfare. This is a modern superhero game, and in the Urban Warfare book, lacks stat blocks for soldiers, tanks, any combat happening in a city at all. It lacks the basic rules necessary to adjudicate the thing in the title. But it does spend a good half a page talking about January 6th. It does that, but it has none of the game elements you need to actually play out an urban
Wow.
warfare scenario at all.
Yeah.
It has a bunch of
Is that
boutique
this?
characters.
Absolute
Yeah.
power.
That is it, yeah.
You got it.
Yep.
Nate's got a copy.
I see
too.
you haven't
That's
even
why I was
taken it out of the
reading
shrink wrap.
I got this because I'm into superhero games, and
Yep.
it was like $10.
Yeah,
Somebody
there's
had
a
it.
reason it was
They
for
didn't
sale
want
for
it.
that.
It was $10. It was sealed. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna grab it. And then I
Yeah.
got home and I looked it up, and I was like, oh, this thing kind of sucks.
Yeah.
No, it's
each
just-
of-
it's not
each
my
of the
bag,
books
right?
Lacks core components necessary, but that example I think was pretty clear. Urban warfare, modern era. You want soldiers, you want tanks, you want helicopters, you
Yeah.
want none of that's in there.
Yeah.
And but each of their books lacks like core critical game components to do the thing that the genre would require. In much the same way as one of D&D's books, semi-recently, lacked space combat mechanics in a game in which you're traveling in spaceships. That
Yeah.
yeah.
Now,
That's-
if I can just
that's
throw out
somewhat
an
behind me.
honorable mention for a rules light game. Now, this is, I guess it kind of counts as new school because I think it came out in the early 2000s. But look it up, okay? Because I'm sure you can actually, I'm going to very quickly look it up to make sure that it's still out there before I tell you to look it up.
Oh boy.
Yeah, so look up a game called Here's Some Fucking D&D.
Wow. That's a real game.
It is a 2-page game, and
Oh, nice.
it is absolutely hilarious. It is absolutely hilarious. I just looked it up, and it's here's some fucking D&D.
oh,
It
that's
has-
awesome.
It has the quote unquote chapters, and again, oh wow, wait, the current version is way longer. It's 6 pages. The original, but that's because that has all kinds of like monster stats and spells. But like the
That's
chapter-
triple the size.
the chapters are find your fucking race, find your fucking class, choose your fucking equipment, determine your fucking hit points, fighting and shit, heroics and shit, magic and shit. And each of these chapters is like a paragraph. And it's
That's hilarious.
rules, and it is absolutely hilarious. If you need just a we're gonna laugh and be vulgar game, it's for one night. Yeah.
I ran something along those lines, though, without the swearing on a cruise ship once. That was a lot of fun. Where like I had an ongoing campaign for the entire week with just random people from the cruise ship who wanted to play RPGs, and we had a really light system we were playing with. Because I think we only had like 1 or 2 D20s total, and that was all the dice.
I just found the original one still out there too. So the version 2.6 that I was just looking at is actually called "Here Is Some Fucking D&D." The original 2-page one is "Here's Some Fucking D&D." So that's the difference between the two.
All right.
Someone also made a clean version with asterisks over all the curse words.
Nice.
That's no fun.
I don't know that that's better.
Yeah.
And I have in my I did the asterisks thing in my CD8 system, which is also a beer and pretzels, like a whole role playing game in like 30 some pages, something like that, and it's just a D8 dice pool system. But instead of making a fear check, you make an "oh shit, my fucking Christ" check. But I asterisked everything out, so it's O S asterisk asterisk asterisk. You know, my F asterisk asterisk, so on and so forth. So yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
And which I lifted that line from Ford Fairlane, The Adventures of Ford Fairlane.
Do you see Dungeon Delver's comment?
But who cares about that when you have a killer application to easily make characters in as little as 3 seconds?
Yeah.
Who cares if you can't play the game? It's fine.
Yeah.
Maybe he's talking about his Crom application, which I did get. It is pretty cool. But
No, I think he's right. I think the game we were talking about a moment ago, the superhero game, I think it does have an app.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, the
Yeah.
I just like to say too that I'm really bitter that Everyday Heroes is still out there and making money, and nobody bought Amazing Adventures 5th edition, which is a better game. But I might be a little biased about that since I wrote
Amazing Adventures 5th edition. Is that fifth? Is that what you said?
Yep.
Oh, 5th edition. You mean you made
we did it a couple years ago. We did a 5e compatible version of Amazing
Really?
Adventures, and there are still some copies left at Troller Games. And I mean, yes, I'm a little biased, but I actually think it's better than Everyday Heroes. If you like Amazing Adventures, you will like Amazing Adventures 5e. It's the same character classes. It's just done to be.
Yeah.
5e.
I don't mind Amazing Adventures. I definitely want to use it to try and run run a game at some point. It's just not, hasn't happened yet, but it's definitely on the list. Just the Amazing Adventures, not the 5e one. I'm still waiting for this monstrous compendium that you keep saying has been handed off.
It's on Steve's desk, and we have artwork coming in. And the artwork, I showed the cover art in our last stream.
Yeah,
it's coming. Steve and I have been talking about what we're going to bundle in. We may, and again, don't quote me on this. I don't want people to say I'm promising things that I didn't promise. This is a maybe. It's in discussion. We may do Star Siege as part of the Kickstarter or backup.
Oh, really?
Maybe. Steve has to decide.
That might be cool.
So
that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Star Siege. We need another space game,
Maybe not yet.
If you like 13 parsecs, Star Siege looks a lot like it, just using the Amazing Adventures rules instead of the others.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't like to reinvent the wheel. If I have a sci-fi game and Steve wants a sci-fi game for Amazing Adventures, guess what? They're going to look a lot alike. So
yeah.
So
no, I like the Siege engine. It's I don't know if we consider that new. Like, I mean, it's kind of been around for a while.
The Siege engine actually,
it's sort of a.
And some people don't like to hear this, but if you go back and actually do your research, it's true. Castles and Crusades launched the OSR. Castles and Crusades
Yeah,
created
okay.
the OSR. It was the first OSR game. They don't. We were. I'm one of the trolls now. We don't consider ourselves an OSR publisher because it puts you in a box that we think Amazing Adventures and Castles and Crusades can easily stretch out of. But it did launch the movement. What's it called? Osric. Osric and Swords and Wizardry came out because the guys that did those were not happy with what Castles and Crusades did with its approach to old school. They wanted
Okay.
something that was closer to D&D, so they used the OGL to replicate AD&D
Sure.
and OD
AD&D, and then
because they were
and
all in
Chris
the
Donneran
playtest.
did the same thing with Basic Fantasy. Yeah, around
Yeah,
the
and
same
the
time.
OSR took off from there. But
But I don't know.
In
I don't know
in
what
a
the year
sense,
was for that
like
stuff.
for mass publishing, I think you're probably right. Like for something that was being produced in quantity, but there have been retro clones that have been coming out in dribs and spurts for almost the entire time, including during the D&D's creation. They were engaging in some lawfare actually with competitors who were basically just copying them.
Sure.
Arduin is
But
a good
the old school
example of
renaissance
that.
with the OSR isn't just tied to the fact that there's some retro clones. The
Right.
OSR itself is a movement, and that movement
Yeah.
was launched by the arrival of Castles and Crusades on the scenes.
I think that also gets into the idea of the different waves of OSR. I talked about that a little bit with Fox Off RPG on his show once, and we were talking about basically we were trying to separate different movements that had happened, and we brought up like Tunnels and Trolls and Arduin and stuff being early examples of tweaking systems and putting it out, and then there was another wave when second edition came out, and then third edition, but they were different flavors of things going on, and then eventually you got into stuff like retro clone. Everybody was doing a retro clone. Everybody was doing, and then I feel like now we're in like a less clone. I've been seeing a lot more system agnostic stuff from the OSR movement, not just game publishing.
Yeah, OSR has kind of become a vibe now instead of a mechanical thing. It's morphed into like, does this feel like an old school game? Does it play like D&D?
Well, I've been
I hate the term, but and I think it matters which one you use. If you're using old school revival or old school renaissance, I think old school revival means that it's like plays like an older version of D&D, and old school renaissance is like the newer kind of style of things. I don't know.
So basically,
huge
it's
argument.
just a question of, do you mean mutual rules compatibility, broadly speaking, or do you mean has a similar feeling or genre?
See, I think originally it meant rules compatibility. When it originally
sure, absolutely. Originally, it was, hey, we want to play these old games, and
Yes.
WotC won't reprint any of this stuff.
Right, and again, yes, people have been doing these retro clones and offshoots and house ruled versions ever since the beginning. But as a movement, as what the OSR is as a movement, it started around 2004, 2005, when Castles and Crusades came out, and then Osric and Swords and Wizardry spun off from there. But it has morphed, it has evolved since then to become, because you can only do so many retro clones. I mean, you can only repeat yourself so many times before it's just,
I don't know. Apparently not. They keep coming. I mean,
so now it's become more of a vibe. It's become more of this game feels like old school, and what is this game doing with old school? Like I tell people with my ogre system, what I've done is taken the mechanics that drove D&D and codified them in a way that they weren't codified originally.
One way to think of it, at least when it comes to the medieval genre, when you're in another genre, you're going to run into some other issues. But one way to think of it now, I think is, can I take an old D&D module or an old D&D adventure, and can I run that adventure using this game's rules?
Mm-hmm.
Does it have either the necessary monsters and rules to support this adventure and traps and whatnot, or does it have the enough rules compatibility that I can just use the ones from D&D if it doesn't have them?
Right.
And I think if either of those is true, then yeah, there's going to be some justification for using an OSR label.
Yeah.
But as soon as you lose mutual compatibility in a play sense, if I take a module from old D&D and I literally cannot run it in this game, that without making stuff up myself,
Yeah.
then I think it's probably something else. At least for medieval, I think that's a good way to check.
Yeah, I can see that argument.
I've also heard, Griffith Morgan, who runs Arnicon and did Secrets of Blackmoor, he was talking about using the term classic RPG more, because he was referring specifically to things that were 1970s games and things that run with that, the 70s and 80s. But and I don't know if that would be, because I have noticed like people are slapping OSR on anything nowadays, just whatever.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
and it's like, oh, is it a vibe, or is there something mechanical about it?
It's both now. That's the thing. It's both.
With Barrows and Borderlands, I wanted it to specifically be compatible with the modules and stuff, and also because I talked about this a little bit at the convention. I know a lot of people that wanted my game not to run specifically everything in my game, but because they wanted to merge like the casting system or the firearms or something else onto their AD&D game, or they wanted to play it with Labyrinth Lord and plug in B&B stuff to it, which is why I do the supplements the way I do. I write them fairly system agnostic in that the classic RPG or mechanical OSR is compatible there.
I'm going to set myself up for rage bait here, but I feel like OSR has lost a lot of its meaning. And I feel like it really started to lose a lot of its meaning when people started arguing that Vampire the Masquerade and even 3rd edition D&D should now be considered old school, because there's adults now who never knew D&D before 3rd edition. And
no, that's the classic car argument.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Has to get newer, and I think that causes the whole thing to lose its meaning. You know.
It's
not
interesting
that
that you say that, 'cause I've seen other YouTubers say
not that I have
that.
anything against. I dig Vampire the Masquerade for what it is. I've played it for years, and 3rd edition,
but it's
I
not
really
OSR.
liked. Yeah, but it's not. Yeah, it's not.
Yeah, it's not
in
OSR.
fact, I would argue that
I
Vampire was the beginning of the new school.
Well, for since all of you have played either Horde Wars or Dropship, I would say that our games are not OSR, certainly in the mechanical sense.
Mm-hmm.
These are not mutually compatible with D&D. You would have to do a significant amount of work. However, we are in the same theme or genre, especially with Horde Wars, when it comes to, can I run this adventurer module?
Yeah.
You absolutely can. We deliberately have a bestiary that is larger in our core book than modern D&D is going to give you in their monster manual.
Yeah.
And that's because Nate and I love D&D. We enjoyed many of the previous editions, and I want you to be able to take a module like Dragon Mountain and go play it with our game.
Yeah.
Well,
and is that that's like new SR now or whatever? Like, I mean, which is just, I don't know. Yeah. It's interesting. You mentioned the classic thing, the classic car, and like somebody mentioned classic rock, classical music. Like that's I see a lot of people equate that to D&D, and there's a handful of YouTubers out there that like insist that at some point, right, like when we hit the 25-year mark, like 3rd edition will become OSR, and then when we get to 2030,
we're already there.
We're already there.
5th edition will be OSR, and you know what I mean.
So
and like 20 years after that,
3rd edition is 26 now.
You're right. That's what I'm saying.
Here's something to think about: is the same
You have
distance
to measure
between
from when it ends.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
same amount of years between now and the year 2000 is the same amount of years between the year 2000 and 1974.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that is
Right.
like, and also a lot of I guess I'll rope myself into the younger designer space. Is fifth edition came out when I was 15,
Yeah.
so it's kind of
Every
it's
time you
actually
say
I'm
that,
sorry,
I age
it's a
a
little
year.
sorry.
old now.
Wait,
you
I'm sorry,
know?
Matt, did you say 5th edition came out in 2015?
2014.
2014.
Oh, okay.
I was 15 in 2014, but well, half the
Jesus.
year I was 14, half was just
Yeah.
summer
Yeah.
birthday.
We get it.
But
Yeah.
but no,
We-
like a lot of the designers that are coming around now, they are looking at it that way, where they're like, those are starting to become the older games, and now what are we moving to? Like third edition would be considered an older game to a lot of my friends that are my age.
Sure. And so there's another question to think: should we move to a terminology sort of more like what video games use, where you had the first generation of consoles, the second generation of consoles, the third generation of consoles? Should we stop just saying old school and new school?
Boy.
And should we have the first generation, the second generation, the third generation? Because we're at least on the 5th or 6th generation of role playing games.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
you can't do that. You can't do that with RPGs like you do with the video games and stuff. And I think it's for the same reason that you're going to lose that with video games, because you've got video games, especially now, that are coming out and then have in the last couple of years, that are basically 8-bit games that could probably run on Nintendo or whatever. So, like, do you count those as 6th generation video games, or because they're
That's kind of like the
Yeah.
OSR of the video game industry.
right? Right.
So you
got
could-
this
you
problem
could
and you're
do
gonna have
a-
this
you-
argument.
You could do a connection where it is so you have the actual, which
Oh, God.
what word did we use?
Actually, 6th edition,
Generation.
actually
So you could
6th
have-
version generation,
Well,
but feels like first.
So you could have first generation game, second generation, third generation, and then if there was a newer game that came out that was styled to be like those, it would be first generation
Yeah.
like.
So
They
the-
do that with
the
like
reason-
what's that video game? Demon Souls and stuff, where it's like it's a Souls like game or a
Yeah.
Souls light game.
Yeah.
So the
Like
reason
they have the whole Metroidvania style of games
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
So the reason that the terminology matters, to answer your question, Baron, do we need terminology? No, you don't need terminology for most purposes. You will need it for useful discussion between game designers or for people doing reviews, and for usefully learning about, in a quick way, a product you've never heard of.
Mhm.
If the product tells you information like that it's compatible with, say, Shadow Dark, you have some idea of when it came out, the core die resolution, and some other information of that sort. The same would be true, or was true, of products with an OSR label. They were broadly mutually compatible with a couple different versions of D&D, but not really compatible with later versions.
Mhm.
And that let you know that information. So the reason that you'd want it as a customer is basically to quickly be able to go through products at a store or on a website or whatever and go, is this a thing that is compatible with something that I like playing?
Yeah, I think it's important to draw that distinction. These terms are and should be used as a shorthand, but
Mhm.
I think we run into problems, and we're having a big problem right now in the fandom and in the industry to some regard, where people are building an identity around that shorthand. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
you have the problem with gatekeeping that goes along with it, and you have the problem when I hesitate to use that term because I hate that fucking term, but you just have this problem with people who use that term to define themselves instead of just as a shorthand to
Yeah.
say I like AD&D.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, it's sort of like it's also really important for search filters and tags and stuff for the customers. So if they're going to a website where they're trying to look up games that are, let's call it first generation like games,
Yeah.
and they want to
Yeah.
put that tag in instead of just seeing a wall of products and not knowing what they are. it'd be like if I said, "Hey, I've got apple flavored soda," and it was grape soda, you know. So
Right. No,
Chancellor just
so
said it best. Identity politics is cancer, regardless
I think-
of what identity it is.
I think what we need is we need a group of people to just build a website and take the time to go through all of these games and just categorize compatibility levels. You know, with
so you're
with-
telling me you need somebody with tons of free time to go
No,
Yeah.
he's
work on that.
He's not wrong. That
Yeah.
would actually be useful.
No, I think it'd be great.
That would-
I think it'd be great
yeah.
to be able to go on and look at, like, there was that there's that one site, I forget the name of it. They were trying to catalog like all the like OSR games and
Arcanum?
stuff.
Or no?
No. That's like all the D&D stuff and all that. There was
Yeah.
it was like Toxic Owlbear or something it was called, or
Oh,
something.
and they were listing out all the OSR
Yeah, they-
products that
but
had
they
been.
listed it as based on like what edition of D&D they were clones of, and then they
Yeah.
would kind of go into that. But I think you need a more in-depth thing of that says, okay, this is, you know, hey, here's this game, this is 90% compatible with, you know, OD&D or whatever, and it's 75% compatible with this, and you know, you need to pick these markers. Taxidermic owlbear, yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah. And-
But I think something like that, and then you can go in and say, hey, I like playing Barrows and Borderlands, right? Like, what's this? Like, oh, okay, this is, you know, 85% OD&D. I'm just saying numbers, right? But like
Yeah,
85% OD&D, you know, 65% BX or whatever. And then you say, okay, show me other games like this, and it shows you, you know, and it'll give you a list of other games that are, you know, 80 to 90% OD&D and 50 to 70% BX or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
Man,
that would
this
probably
sounds,
be it. That'd
sounds
probably
awesome.
be a good one. And I think
It would. It's just that there's thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of games out there.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's for us. It's for someone younger.
you say that now, and then
someone-
some like 13-year-old using AI is going to do it in like 5 minutes and have a website
Yeah.
running. So
My daughter's 13. I mean, you know, like, no,
There
I
you
mean,
go.
I think that would be. I
There you
think
go.
that would
She's
be
still
great,
on. Roger's daughter. Get to
you
work.
know?
yeah,
Yeah.
Put
I
the
think
clock
that would
on.
be great to have something like that, you know? So, you know, I don't know. That's, yeah. There's somebody on Reddit, RPG Design, that was building a website like that. Yeah. So we'll see.
that
Yeah,
is a
We'll see
good.
where it goes.
That also brings up a little quick point in game design ideas and sort of the importance of how do you get across to a customer what your game's about without having to describe every part of your game, like
Yeah.
in as few words as possible. Like, it was like a film thing. I worked in film and theater of say as much as possible with as least amount of words as you can.
Well, it's the elevator pitch. You have
Yeah.
to be able to do
Yeah.
an elevator pitch. You're in an elevator with an executive for 30 seconds, and you have that long to sell him on your idea.
And nowadays you have even less time because it's going to be they're swiping on X or something or Facebook, and they're going to get maybe 2 seconds of your post popping up, whether or not they're going to keep scrolling or
Right.
whatever else they're going to do. Or if they're watching a live stream, it's like, how much longer do I want to listen to somebody talk about this game?
Unless you literally meet them in an elevator, which I have done.
That is true. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
that's
there
why I
you
did
go.
the tagline. That's why I did the tagline I did with Bears and Borderlands, because I was like,
It's an awesome tagline. Yeah.
well, I spent a long time without that tagline when people were coming into the game store and it was just our home game. And I was like, they'd be like, what is this about? And I couldn't just say, oh, it's like Solomon Kane with a ray gun. It's like, because, you know, usually they had not read Solomon Kane or they don't know what I'm talking about. I was summoned. but so I kind of had to sit there and be like, okay, I need this to just fit on the front cover, the entire idea. I did
Yeah.
eventually, though, get Castle Grief to do the Solomon Kane fighting a velociraptor with a ray
Yeah.
gun, but
That's awesome.
not Solomon Kane. But yeah,
Yeah.
there you go. Yeah,
Nice. I think I agree that is a challenge, and on my end, what Nate and I have tried to do is do that with cover art. We
Mhm.
do that. We do write descriptions that explain what is this that you're buying, right? But that's longer. That's like a paragraph of explanation. if you look at the cover of our books, you're going to get a pretty good idea of what is this game about.
Mm-hmm.
Which dropship is guys exiting a dropship to go kill aliens.
Yeah,
that's what's happening on the cover.
Yeah, it is pretty much
Horde
on the
Wars-
tin. Yeah,
Yeah, Horde Wars Basic, Horde Wars Advanced. In Advanced, you've got a knight fighting other knights in a bloody battlefield with dragons gathering in the background. Why? Because that one is the full version of the game and includes mass combat rules. Whereas the original Horde Wars Basic has a knight with a glowing crusader with a glowing sword fighting animated skeletons.
Mhm.
Why? Because that one's more about the low-level dungeon crawling or low-level wilderness exploration.
Yeah.
But I did that, or we started doing that, I should say, because of the advice of an author named Adam Lane Smith. He basically said, books are judged by their covers. Spend accordingly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, they say
Yeah.
don't judge a book by its cover, but let's face it, everyone
everybody
judges
does.
a book by its cover.
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah.
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 No, that's why. I don't know. You did a good job because I saw the dropship cover before I knew anything about it at all. Before Kieran had talked to me about it too, and I was like,
Cool.
that looks really neat. Whatever that is, it's like
Yeah.
it's screaming like Starship Troopers to me.
Mhm.
But and then with Jason with Night Shift, I was getting all excited because it felt like I was looking at it's fun. It felt like the Buffy fan art from like the early 2000s on the cover, which made me want to play it because it felt like Buffy.
That's
I don't
Yeah,
have
that's
night.
what-
Yeah, the
Sorry.
13 parsecs with the
the
skull.
leather version of 13 parsecs. The actual like print cover is this.
Yeah,
Yeah, and then like I don't know. I kept having a lot of
And the new
design.
Night Shift, the next printing of Night Shift is this.
Oh, that looks
You can't-
yeah.
On the video, you can't
Yeah.
really see the vampire face behind the vampire face and tentacles behind her, but they're very visible when you look at
See,
it.
Nice.
that's very evocative. I actually had a hard time with mine because I also wanted it to have that stylism of the OD&D box and stuff. And then when I got to the hardback and then with the Velociraptor and stuff, I was like, I still need it to be kind of simple in the design of the cover because I
Yeah.
wanted it to have that feeling of like when you open up your box set and it's got the weird little drawings on the front of it and stuff. And so
But
that
that's
was
the thing. You're conveying the product still with the cover.
yeah. Now I have a lot of games that I passed for many years without ever trying just because of that exact thing. I was like, it looks kind of with the cover. And then I found out it was actually a pretty good game. I just never gave it a chance. But yeah, design, art, especially on the cover, is extremely important. And then the whole elevator pitch idea. I've also noticed a lot of designers are getting into that rough feel of things where it kind of has that not necessarily handmade feel, but like the I don't even want to call it old school art because there's a difference. I don't like the old school art I've been seeing where it's kind of goofy characters, but it's like ink drawings and stuff because it doesn't actually feel like some of the art that was in like the old TSR modules. But then again, it's hard to reenact Dave, Sutherland and Elmore and all that stuff. But
yeah.
yeah,
Now-
it's crazy how much that matters more than the game's mechanics do.
It can, yeah. Now, I will say, word of mouth is also very helpful. Once you've got a successful
Sure.
game design and people start to play it, that can really help with driving future sales or even just getting people to be interested in your next book or your next product or your next supplement, right? Because Matt, you're doing a few of those.
Yeah.
Right? How
Yeah,
many
I've
do you
got-
have out now?
So I have two supplements out: the Radioactive Boogaloo and Radioactive 2 Galoo. And then I've got 3 Galoo coming out. Then I'm gonna stop using the Oogaloo names. But
I'll believe
The,
that when I see it.
yeah, we already made jokes about 4 Galoo. The joke so on on Boogaloo, it was additional rules for B&B, and then the second one was even more additional rules. And then I'm toying with the idea of putting just when you thought I was out of ideas on the next one.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I've got some supplements, and then I'm really starting to get more interested in doing more adventure modules. I had a lot of fun writing Dracula in Space. Like that was really fun to make, especially because I was like, I had that light switch moment where I was like, oh, I kind of wanted to be like sci-fi vampires and stuff, and then I was like, wait, I could totally just put like Christopher Lee on a spaceship and have him eating people. Like I don't even have to play around with it. It can be Dracula in space, and I fed into
we must
like
have missed
goofy
that
horror
part.
with it. Right, exactly. It's funny how long it took
We
me
only
to get
saw
to the
2
point where I
rooms.
was like, just call it that. But yeah, that was pretty much. Adventures are going to be more of a thing, but I do still have some supplements coming. I know you guys have some stuff too.
I have so many things in various stages of development, and I really need to just buckle down and get some shit done. Is the problem I have right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, on our end, we are waiting to see how Dropship does. Our sales do not follow the Kickstarter model, so we don't actually know till about 3 months after the product's out how it did. and that's been true for our last 2 books, and we'll see how it goes with this one. So far, so good, but we'll see. And then depending on how that goes, it'll kind of determine what our next project that we need to focus on is. I'm working on a superhero RPG, uses the D12 system, but whether or not that's going to be the very next project, it will be determined by sales and interest in our existing games. If we have, for example, if we're able to verify 100 or 200 active game masters for Horde Wars or for Dropship, we'll probably do a supplement for that, because around 100 to 200 active game masters is where a supplement starts becoming financially viable for us, where we actually might make money or break even on that.
Right.
Yeah.
I've been really thinking a lot about, and I'm waffling as to whether I'm going to do it or not, of taking all. I have my 3 games because I want them to be, each of the core genres is covered. I have modern, I have sci-fi, I have fantasy. I've really been thinking, and I've had a couple people ask about it, of doing just an Ogres core book. Just taking all 3 of those games and putting them together in one big GURPS-like Ogres core book.
Yeah.
It would just be a true multi-genre, you can do anything you want with this game type book. Like I said, I'm still waffling on that. So.
Hey, Technobabble, are you in the game on Wednesday? Because if you are, you should definitely make a character. I believe you are. Yeah, I know you. Yeah, definitely make your character. Crack open that book. I will force a precon on you if you do not bring one, but I can almost guarantee you'll be happier with a character that you make. But yeah, I'm planning to stream Dropship with Fox Off RPG at 3 p.m. Next Wednesday.
Oh, fantastic!
Nice.
Nice.
I believe, yeah, Technobabble there is one of the players. I don't want to dox him. I know his actual name, but
Yeah.
What Baron said, that's something else I've been thinking about, doing a cinematic Ogres. I've been playing around with that a lot. It's probably going to happen at some point in time. I don't know what form it will take, but I've been playing around with that, streamlining it a great deal. But again, I worry about the problem that we talked about earlier, that when games get to be too rules light, they don't hold up over long-term play.
Yeah.
So
I'm curious. I mean, I don't know how much of an audience there is, so there's that. But I'm curious what you would do with that rule system with a targeted like a Western genre one.
Well, yeah, and again, that's that would be something that if I did do a full Ogres core book, then we would have to do genre books to support it. So we could have a genre book for the Wild West, and we could have or for the Wild or Weird West, and we could have a genre book for Gothic horror, or cosmic horror, or supers, or whatever. That is something that's kind of missing in there, and because Wild West tends to be a genre of its own.
Yeah. Well, and you could afford to be more targeted with it, because you kind of have to establish it's the Wild West part baseline for the game,
right?
And then go, and you could add Weird West, or you could add zombies, or you could add whatever it might be. Aliens are coming to the West. Why not? You can add all these things, but the core genre is actually very specific compared to the others, I think.
Yeah.
Because of the kind of limited nature in real life of when that period was and where.
And we do have a gunslinger character class that could be plopped right in to lead the Wild West core book. So that might well be. That's actually really not a bad idea at all. It's something that might be worth thinking about, doing a Wild West version.
I think it'd be fun.
We could even mix it, like we could just do a 19th century book, and then we could have a part that talks about the Wild West in North America and Gaslight in Europe, because they're going on at the same time.
I'd split them, man. I would split them, make them mutually compatible, right?
But split them into two different books.
Yeah, because you can use the space that you would be introducing the other kind of regional genre in to give more game content, more opponents to fight, more gear, that kind of thing.
Right.
And I think it would actually drive interest for the people who want a Wild West game to go, this has everything I need to play pre-US Civil War, during and after for the next 40 years.
Right. Yeah, that's really not a bad idea at all. And it is kind of like we had this idea of that there were three genres that we had, core genres that we had to cover, but that does leave some stuff on the table, which is worth exploring. So, you just put a bug in my ear that might bear fruit. So, yeah.
Well, good. But I think I don't think that genre has been done especially well. Mm-hmm. I've seen some that are better than others, but I haven't seen one that.
I really dig Kenzer and Company's Aces and Eights for what it is, but if you talk about a rules-heavy game, it's very, very rules-heavy.
The shot clock is definitely a cool thing.
Yeah, the shot clock is super cool,
but it seems
it's
way too fiddly.
Combat.
Yeah.
There's Matt. Now we should probably get things wrapped up. I know we're.
I was gonna say we're almost at 2 hours here. We're like way past.
Jason said at 2:01 he was gonna come find us. So I'm scared.
I did. I'm gonna crawl through the screen like the girl in the ring.
Well, time to go. I got to see the rain stopped.
So what we're going to talk about next week: GMing, railroading versus
GM responsibility. Is that what we want to do? GM responsibility.
Responsibility and campaign styles or setting styles.
Yeah.
How are you prepping? That kind of thing.
I think that would be a really good topic. Also, I didn't know if you already brought up Todd, if you and Jason, if you all had, because we know the 250's coming up and we've got a couple sales running. So I thought that would be good to mention.
I am stupid and did not think to run a sale.
You got time.
It is the first. You could start
the first. You do still.
I could run one all July. Let me see. Maybe something will go up on Drive-Thru-RPG, and then I'll see what I can do about my website. So
And guys, if you're not subscribed to any of our channels here that are linked up here, please subscribe to everybody else's. The three websites for these guys are in the description. I don't know if they've got links elsewhere. Go ahead, Todd.
Yes, but as Matt was indicating, let me see if I got this right. Matt, is your sale 25% off everything?
It's 25% off everything, and that also goes for the couple of those Portal to Adventures I have left. I've got 3 left with the acrylic case, and 2 left that aren't with the acrylic case. So but that I think the 25% off the one with the acrylic case takes off like $100 or something off of it, so it's a pretty good deal. But yeah, 25% off everything. Code is America, just America without the A.
I'd like to point out, and Todd told me I should push this more, so I'm going to because I don't enough. Everything at Elf Lair Games is made in the United States, 100% produced in the United States. We do not work with China at all. Our printer is in the U.S. As far as I know, they source everything from the U.S. I could be wrong about that because I'm not privy to their behind the scenes, but I know that I do everything I can to produce everything domestically.
Yes.
Same here.
So if you want to celebrate 250, buy American.
There you go.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah, absolutely.
Our stuff's all produced in the U.S.
And
We're doing 10 to 20% off everything, and our only exception, I should note, is if you are an international customer, we will have an American company print the book in or near your country because it is like $50 less than me shipping it to you.
I tell my international buyers to buy through. I have distribution through Studio 2 Publishing, and you can buy directly off of their website. And I'm pretty sure they have overseas production facilities and distribution and things like that. So, or at least not production. They don't produce for me.
Distribution,
warehouses, distribution. So,
And
so
I
you
also
can go from them.
I also do all my stuff in America. So, and like Jay said, the shrink wrap on the box, who knows? But the box, the booklets, I mean, I make them here, and then I try and source the paper and stuff from America. And the boxes, I was very happy to find an American company that made those boxes. They even sent me a Christmas card last year, and I didn't realize how small a company it was until I noticed there were only like 5 names on the card, and it was just the little rep in the area. Is like, I don't know, that was a nice little touch there. But
cool. That's awesome. Yes, cool. Yeah, sales going on. So next week we'll do GM responsibility and campaign styles and stuff. That'll be a fun time. Anything else you guys want to add? Or
in 2 weeks?
In 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Did I say next week?
2 weeks.
Sorry,
2 weeks.
my bad.
Next
in 2
chat.
weeks.
Yes.
The next time in 2 weeks.
You know what?
is
Wait,
gonna
let me
be the
check
15th.
something because I
We'll do it
will not
without
be
you.
here. I actually
Oh,
will not be
well.
here in 2 weeks. I hate to do that because it's our second chat, but I'm going to be on my way to EggCon on the 15th.
oh, that's right.
Well-
EggCon's going on.
Yeah.
Maybe we could.
No problem. Send us a written summary of your beliefs.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I will. You know
We'll,
what? I will. I'm not going to
we'll
say
get
I
a
won't be
substitute.
here. I will have my laptop with me, and if I get there early enough and can get settled, I may be able to get on. So,
Cool.
Do you know how many game designers are knocking on my door to get on this stream? 0, but that's not the point.
So
Yeah.
I may or may not be here.
If you can, that would be great. Otherwise, we'll talk. We can always maybe get a guest,
we'll
or something
misrepresent.
on, or-
We'll misrepresent your ideas
You
as
know.
much as possible.
We'll have a second
Yeah.
special guest. It'll be good. Yeah.
We'll be like,
Yeah.
Jason said, railroading is the only way to play. That's
No,
what I
That's true.
heard.
He did
No,
say
I'm
that.
just
He did say that.
Hopefully Jason can make it. And I'm looking forward to that. Really happy to talk with you guys. It was a lot of fun to
It's
play
fantastic.
and
Yeah.
play together and meet each other. And hoping to see all of you again in the near future.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Hopefully.
Same here.
And if you guys want to hang out for a minute, we can catch up on the other side and do all that. But for everybody out there, thanks everybody for coming to watch. Mostly these 3 guys, and some of me. I wasn't even here for half of it, so But I got to go figure out what to do with a chunk of tree that's in my front yard now. But we'll figure it out. That's never going to happen, Chance. So we will see you guys in 2 weeks. 2 weeks time. And again, I'll be back here on Tuesday to do my thing, and you guys know the schedule. Like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Take care, everybody.
Have a good night.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.